Crafter's, thanks for joining me here in the attic. So pull up a chair, grab your favorite beverage, and we'll get to crafting and memory keeping. Welcome to day 29 of Fairy Wings and Forgotten Things. We only have one more day after today of our Magical Fairy collaboration, but if you'd like to go over and check out what everybody's doing in the Facebook group for this collaboration, all the information is down in the description box, and there's also a complete playlist where you can go back and check out everything from the beginning all the way to now. So for day 29, be sure to go over to It's a Crafty Life. She is your official fairy guide for today. She will have your fairy token and your official prompt. For Professor Fernscribe, she will be visiting the Spring Fae, where she will find out more about flower petals. So let's see what flower petals prompt is. The flower petals is the petal dress, which is something made with petals. So let's grab some items and we'll get to crafting. What I decided I wanted to do with this one is, for starters, I'm using my kit that's in my Ko-fi shop. It's called Fairy Magic, and I've used a couple of the pages and fussy cut out some ephemera to go for my background. But I also cut this little fairy out, and I cut off her dress because I'm going to be making her a new dress, taking these flowers apart. So I'm going to start by moving my pages out of the way because I don't need them for a little while until I get her all put together. So I'm going to grab a craft mat here so that maybe I can work on that without getting glue all over my desk. And I'm going to start by just taking these flower petals apart. So it may take me a little bit. They look like they're just glued pretty much right in the center. But I'm going to take these apart and then reassemble her dress. Yeah, they're going to come apart pretty easy. Some of them might not be salvageable once I get it pulled apart, but I think most of them will. Take one apart and show you, and then I'll take the rest of them apart off camera and then come back and we'll assemble the dress. Okay, let's see if we can get these small ones apart. So that's what we'll end up with. I'm going to cut all these petals apart and I'll come back. I got the petals all taken apart, and what I'm going to start doing is just kind of laying them out. I've put my little girl up here, but her dress will probably fall about right there, so I'm just going to start laying them down and gluing them back together. I may have to pull off there's some hot glue here in some places. I might have to pull that off. So I'm just going to lay some glue down and start overlapping these petals to build the base of my dress. And it'll be a few layers. And I'm using this non-stick mat, so hopefully I don't glue the dress down to the table. And I can peel it up pretty easy. And this bottom layer will be my base. And it'll be the widest part of the dress. And then I'll just start overlapping them, moving up towards the top. And I'm just going to keep repeating this, making it a little smaller and a little more narrow as I go. By putting less petals on the next row. Might have to hold that down for a minute while it dries. Put my next petal down. I only took 2 flowers apart. I think that'll be enough. If I need to take a few more apart, I can as we go, but I think that's going to be enough. And then this one. Might have been able to get by with one, but I don't think one would have been quite enough. And then our last one right here. And then what I'll do is I'll glue her back right there. And I'm going to tint this dress a little bit. To give her a little bit of color. I think I'm going to use a pink and a green. I think I want to do it with a shimmer, so let me grab those really quick. I just want to make sure my petals kind of come up a little bit so that you can see that they are individual petals and not one piece. So I'm just taking my fingers and curling the ends of those petals up a little bit. Before I start tinting it. I'm going to use the Mica Spray Stain Sugary Gumdrop and Bubbling Cauldron. I'm going to start with the green. Just going to put a little bit down here. And I'm going to put a little bit of water because I really don't want this to be real dark. I just want to give a little bit of color here. Just gonna hit some areas, not doing the whole thing because I'm gonna come back with the pink to where hopefully it just kind of blends together. And we only have one more day. Let's see where Professor Fernscribe goes tomorrow. And then we're off to spooky season. A little bit of water there. Just want to keep those edges curled up a little bit. I don't want them to dry laying down and stick together. Because again, I want it to look like this is definitely a dress made out of petals, not just one piece. A little bit more. Didn't put quite enough. I have to say, I will be a little sad to see Professor Fernscribe go away. Maybe she'll come back another day. We'll see how that goes. Alright, I really like how that turned out. I wasn't quite sure what I'd get. Again, a lot of what I've done throughout this whole journal has just been kind of experimenting to see what happens when you do certain things. Some of them have worked out really well, others not so much, but I really like that. I'm going to set her aside and let her dry, and we can start assembling our pages to put her on. So set her over there. Let's grab our pages back. And let's see. Alright, let's decorate the page a little bit. I cut out this from one of the pages from the kit, and I'm going to lay it right down because this is where my fairy is going to end up going. I want to put it right down here, and she is going to go to the left side of this little bunny and mushroom. She's going to go right here. And I think I want to create a belly band with these little journal cards. I printed these at 3x5. That way I got smaller images for this journal card. And I'm going to use my Crocodile Corner Chomper. This is a scalloped edge one, and I'm going to clip my corners here and then create a belly band with these cards. So I want to ink these up. I think I'm going to ink these up with some vintage photo. So what I'm going to do now is glue this belly band together. And I want to start just gluing the edges here. Because when you're doing something like this, you want to be careful, otherwise you'll end up gluing it to your paper. So I want to make sure I'm not got extra glue coming out. Gluing it to my page. So I want this next one about right there. And just keep working your way down the page, gluing each little card together, and then you can glue it down as your belly band. Oh, I just noticed this one is upside down. Probably would have been okay, but let's try not to. Right here at the end, start gluing things upside down. Alright, so there's that. And I want to bring this over some, because my journal card is going to fit in like this. And right here will go in the book, so I want it to be about right there. So I'm going to go ahead and glue most of this tag. Same thing with this one. And then our little journal card will tuck in just like that. Let's see if our fairy girl is dry. I think she is. I'm going to ink her up just a little bit. Just get rid of those white edges. And I want to put her right here. So I'm going to go ahead and glue her completely down. She was a sticker, so let's see if I can pull this off. I might have to cut that sticker paper. I had forgotten she was a sticker, or I would have gone ahead and stuck that down on some cardstock, but let's see. There we go. I am going to add a little bit of glue to her, even though she is a sticker, because I'm going to glue the petal dress down. And I just want to put her right here. I am really happy how that little dress turned out. I wasn't sure how it would turn out, but I think that turned out really cute. Now I want to start working on the cluster for the Spring Fae. I think I'm going to use these little tags that printed with those journaling cards. And let's see what I can do here. Cut these little corners off. I think I want to just overlap this like that. And maybe glue a few of the petals underneath it and come back and tint those just a little bit. I kind of like that idea. Alright, so let's ink this up with the Vintage Photo. Go ahead and glue this down. Just like that. And I'm going to come back with my mica spray and tint those really quick. Alright, I'm going to tint those two little petals there. I'm trying to decide if I want to add a few more petals around the page so I can go ahead and glue those in before I'm thinking about adding some right here and adding this one little strip that says Fairy Kisses. think I'm going to do that. See what this looks like. These little strips here came from Emily Designs' Absinthe Fairy kit. I think I like that. I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. And that way I can tint these flowers all at the same time. And let me ink up the edges of this. Got a fly in my room here. He's driving me nuts. Yeah, I like that. Just glue that down just like that. And now let's tint these. And we will be almost through with day 29. Let's get a little bit of the sugar gumdrop. Okay, let's ink up our information card and we will be all done with day 29. I'm going to ink that up with the vintage photo. Grab my numbers. And there we go. Let's see what Professor Fernscribe has to tell us today about the Spring Fae. Day 29. World of the Spring Fae. The flower petals. Environmental notes. Meadows eternally in bloom. Air warm and alive with bees. Rain showers frequent but fleeting, leaving rainbows and vibrant scents. Cultural observations. The Spring Fae are joyous, ever-dancing figures clothed in blossoms. They embody renewal, reveling in planting, growth, and beginnings. Society is festival in constant motion. Artifact notes. The flower petals are iridescent, each shifts hue as though alive. When scattered, petals sprout to ephemeral flowers that bloom for a day, releasing fragrances that lift sorrow. Hypothesis, charm of renewal, dissolving grief, and planting joy. Narrative encounter. Amid great revelry, Fae whirled around me, scattering petals like confetti. Later, alone, I scattered 3 upon the ground. Blooms sprang up for only hours, yet their scent filled me with such joy that tears welled unabated. Not meant for permanence, but for rebirth, sorrow, flowering into joy. And so that's day 29 for Fairy Wings and Forgotten Things. Join me again here tomorrow as we find out where Professor Fernscribe heads for her very last day. So be sure to hit the subscription button and the notification bell. And until I see y'all again here in the attic, y'all take care.